Welcome, Irish fans, to this week's edition of the Jack Swarbrick Show. On today's show, we'll talk with Notre Dame 2013 National Championship soccer coach and Scottish soccer legend Bobby Clark. And we will also be joined by Notre Dame football wide receiver Torrey Hunter Jr. Now, here are your hosts, Notre Dame Vice President and Director of Athletics Jack Swarbrick and Notre Dame football captain and starting linebacker Joe Schmidt.
Thanks very much. You know, after last week, I think we ought to rename it the flood of fan mail for Joe Schmidt coming on this show.
I don't know.
It's got to be the Jack Swarbrick and Joe Schmidt show, but we'll work on that down the road.
I've been paying people just little bits, trying to get them to send mail in, so you think that the people like me.
Just confirms we have an audience, which is reassuring.
Yeah, it is.
So a big week at Notre Dame football, and let's leave the game for a moment and talk about your debut as a television star here and part of the Showtime series. What's the reaction been inside the building to that?
I think the reaction's been positive. I think kind of leading into this Tuesday night, I think that guys really didn't know how it was going to turn out. They had been shooting for so long. They really shot all of training camp. They were in every meeting. They went to all of our dinners, breakfasts, lunches. They came to our houses. So there was a sense of worry, if you will, with the team. But I think the guys at Showtime, those producers, the Jasons, they did a heck of a job, really coming up with a great show, and kind of giving viewers an inside look at Notre Dame football and really what we're going through on a day-to-day basis. So I thought they did an awesome job, and I was really happy with the show. I thought it went well.
You mentioned they have been omnipresent.
Yeah, good word.
For 6 weeks now. Are you able to tune that out? I mean, in the middle of practice, there's somebody around with a camera and in the locker room, etc. Can you tune it out?
I think we can. At this point, they're almost like. They're just like anybody else that's ever there. We have our media department there all the time. We have the cameras that are focused on us throughout practice. So you can't exactly think about the Showtime people being there, or else you're gonna start messing plays up and making mistakes. So it was funny though. I don't think they were there at the start of practice. On Tuesday, and it was almost weird how little activity there was on the sideline. So it's become a normal, it's become our new normal rather, having all that activity, having all those cameras. So it's kind of just a part of the whole show now.
Well, you had a bit of a star turn in the first episode.
Yeah.
Including admitting you didn't know where class was. Thanks a lot for that.
Well, with all this construction, I was in the baseball lot at the for those of you that aren't familiar with Notre Dame's campus, the Notre Dame baseball field and baseball lot are on one edge of campus, and all of the main classes are in the center portion of campus. But between those two locations, there is always a new path because we have the Campus Crossroads project that has begun and is still going on throughout the season. So you don't exactly know where you're going to be able to go to get to class. So I kind of took an interesting route, which is what they had got on camera. I was hoping I didn't just get caught inside some chain link fence. I thought that can be kind of embarrassing.
What was the family's reaction?
I thought they really liked it. I sat and watched it with my mom. She was in town, which was great. And she thought it went well. She thought some of my comments were a little ridiculous, asking if the Pope watches us play football games. Yeah. Once again, they're around us all the time, so they catch even the jokes we make. So it's kind of fun.
Well, the show culminated with the recap of a very successful opening weekend against Texas here at home. What were your major takeaways from the game?
Well, first. It was a tough first game because they had a new offensive coordinator. I'm speaking kind of from the defensive mindset. They had a new offensive coordinator. They have a lot of talent on the offensive side of the ball, and it's the University of Texas. They have one of the most storied traditions. The Longhorn Football Network, crazy fan base. I mean, you saw how many burnt orange people were in South Bend for the game. So I thought it went very well for a first game. I thought we played very well on both sides of the ball. The offense executed almost as seamlessly as you can in a first game situation. And the defense played assignment correct, and we had very, very few mental errors. I don't think I've ever seen we do a production breakdown of each individual player after a game, and I don't think I've ever seen production ratios that high, really in any game. So it was great to see.
Really tough early injury for Torian in the game, which we just hated to see. But it did reflect the importance of everybody being ready to play and everybody being prepared to step in, and we certainly saw that in the guys that filled in for him.
Definitely, and it's so sad because you saw what Torian was doing this offseason. He worked extremely hard. He came in each and every day. He became a leader on that offense, and he was really coming into his own. It was so hard for me to see him kind of walk up the tunnel there and have to talk to him after the game rather. But really, that came that unique opportunity for those guys. And I thought, C.J. Prosise had a heck of an offseason as well. He's been performing really as good as I've seen anybody perform at running back in my time here. He's extremely versatile, which makes him dangerous. You don't know where he's going to be on the field. And then you got some freshman running backs that really can step up at any time. So Coach Kelly, Coach Denbrock, who we had on last week, I think they're doing a great job of kind of finding ways to get those guys the ball in opportunistic situations.
Yeah, out of the frying pan into the fire.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no there are no easy weeks. We head to a state I was shocked to learn we'd never played a football game in before.
What?
First time ever in Virginia, which is sort of exciting.
Wow.
And
Team 127 breaking down those walls there.
Yeah, absolutely. What can you tell us about this week's opponent?
Well, Virginia's a well-coached team. Offensively, they've got a lot of, they've got weapons. They have one of the better running backs in the country, and they find ways to get him the football. And he's a very dangerous man in the backfield. I think that they have, their receiving core is good. Their offensive line is very solid. Their quarterback's good. So they present a unique challenge based on those guys, and then also on their scheme. They have a pro style scheme. They have a coordinator that came from the NFL, so they do a lot of interesting things as an offense, and they make it difficult for a defense to defend them. So it'll be fun for us. And then I know that their defensive coordinator is a former Notre Dame guy, the guy that I grew up watching, John Tenuta. So that'll be fun to see how the offense kind of reacts to his style, his energetic style. So I think that they're getting excited for that.
Yeah, it'll be great to see John again, and what you're going to get is a very creative approach to pressure. You're going to see a million different looks and blitzes, and John is creative as it comes at that, and it'll be an interesting next challenge for our offense, who played so well in week 1.
Yeah, I think so too, and I think it's good for our offense that they're playing someone like that, because they are able to see some of the most exotic looks. And we like to think the most exotic looks on defense for us. So I think hopefully we've done a good job throughout the spring and the summer and last year, kind of preparing them to see really what you can't even prepare for. So, bringing guys from places that they just have never came from. So
talk to us a little bit about the transition from game to game. So what time do you devote to looking back at Texas and analyzing the performance there before you flip the switch to the next opponent, in this case Virginia?
So I think that for me personally, I think it's kind of coach's philosophy as well. We win on Saturday night. You take Sunday to kind of enjoy that game. You recover, you watch that game tape. You understand the mistakes that were made, and then Monday we have one last meeting. It's the final kind of culmination of all what they saw in the game, maybe what you saw in the game. You talk about it. After that meeting breaks at about 5:15 on Monday night, it's over. Texas is gone. That we have to move on, and so with that, we've probably watched a little bit of game tape on Virginia as a team. The staff obviously already has their scouting reports done. But then we're fully on Virginia, and you really can't look back or you're going to get beat the next week. So that's kind of our philosophy.
Not looking for any state secrets here, but as you go through that process of closing out Texas, what are the things that you come out of that game saying, here are the areas of focus and improvement going forward based on the Texas performance?
So I guess really for as a defense is really what I could speak to. I know that we made some mistakes on some key concepts that we wanted to make sure that we got down. Whether it was whatever they came out in, obviously trade secrets to a certain extent, but there were a few mistakes that we need to make sure we kind of rectify. We gave up some explosive plays, which we're never happy with, and so we wanted to make sure that we saw them, and maybe we even on a couple of those plays we were in the right position, we just didn't execute, and so we had to just kind of go over those, make sure we saw that. And really that's kind of the main takeaways, because we didn't make a lot of mental errors, and if there's one other main thing that you could do is maybe just tackle a little bit better. But for our first game, I thought we did pretty well there too. So missed a little bit of production in the backfield. I know Sheldon's been whining all week about looking like a seal sliding across the turf in Notre Dame Stadium. So.
He had a great game.
Yeah,
that was a classic case of where the stats don't necessarily reflect the pressure.
Oh my gosh,
that he was creating. He was wreaking havoc in the interior there, wasn't he?
Oh my gosh, he was. All jokes aside, Sheldon was completely dominant in that football game. No one could block him, and it was, and that's how he's got those unique traits of explosiveness, strength, power, and he can play any play, run or pass, and really the entire defensive line. You don't stop at Sheldon. You could talk about Isaac Rochelle. You could talk about Daniel Cage. Jerry Tillery had his first career sack. Andrew Trombetti, Romeo. It was really impressive what they were able to do on the defensive line.
Yeah, it was. We on both lines, I thought we really controlled the line of scrimmage, which of course is a good place to start in any game.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's where I would love to start. They keep them off. They keep the big men off of me, and hopefully that makes my life a lot easier, and I can make some tackles. So
I think the play that's gotten the most post-game life in terms of being shared is McGlinchey's attempt to celebrate with Malik when he's running down the field after a touchdown.
Yeah, McGlinchey. We might just have to have him just run back to the bench from now on. Maybe just save the celebrations for when you're sitting down. There's nothing that could possibly go wrong, and we can't hurt anyone, because he doesn't realize how big he is. So hopefully we can talk to Mike about that. He gets real excited though. So
yeah. Well, let's hope there are a lot more reasons for him to celebrate.
Let's hope so.
In the week ahead. Let's take a break, and then we'll come back with our first guest.
Sounds good. Let's do it.